As your local election headquarters, Pix 11 has been inviting the candidates for New York City mayor to share their story and their vision for our city. Today, a Bed-Stuy native, former New York City educator, and single mother of two who is looking to be the first ever Afro-Latina mayor of New York City, Dianne Morales. She is joining us live this morning. So good morning to you, Dianne.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So let's get into it this morning. You've held some very important positions in the New York City community, right? You've been fully advocating for others. The last one where you were CEO of something called the Phipps Neighborhood, which is a Bronx organization that fights for poverty. Yes. So let me ask, what made you leave that position, pursue running for mayor of New York City?
It's a great question. I was in a very good position doing good work for the community. But, you know, after a while, it just felt like it wasn't quite enough. No matter how successful we were, no matter how many people we were helping, there was always a waiting list and always more people who needed support. And you come to realize, actually, that the work that we're doing is sort of on the back end. It is addressing the symptoms that result in poverty and inequity and injustice. And I really wanted to sort of work on the front end to have an impact on some of the structural and systemic issues that lead to those conditions. And I also feel like I am uniquely positioned to be able to do that as someone who personally has struggled with many of those challenges, but also professionally has spent decades helping others navigate and overcome them as well.
So let's talk a little bit about you so we can get to know you. You pretty much, grew up in Brooklyn, right? You stayed here with your parents and Abuela Rose and went to Stuyvesant High in Manhattan, where you then eventually went on to receive a degree focused around education. So tell us about what that was like for you, the challenges you faced, and why you believe that you are cut for this position.
Sure. So, you know, I'm a first generation college graduate. I grew up in Bed-Stuy, as you mentioned. I'm the youngest of three. Really sort of became aware at an early age that a lot of the kids that I grew up with in my community weren't having access to some of the opportunities, educationally specifically, that I got access to. And, you know, after a while, you start to ask what that's about and why that's the case. I think that was my first exposure to some of the inequities in the education system specifically. And then I went on to become a single mom and dealt with sort of navigating the education system for them. My son has been racially profiled from as young as the age of 10, you know, literally while standing on the corner waiting for his basketball coach to pick him up to go to a game. And you start to confront those issues in your personal life. Yeah. And the irony was that professionally, I was helping people navigate those very same challenges. Right. And so, yeah.
Go ahead.
I just, there is something very special about sort of the intersection of my experiences that I think I can uniquely bring to bear in helping New York City overcome those challenges and helping New Yorkers overall.
Yeah, and your life experience that you were just talking about there, especially with the stop and frisk of your son, leads me to my next question about some of the issues, right? Reform that we're seeing in action right now, and that includes this idea of defunding the NYPD, shifting power out of the NYPD's hands into others. Would you keep Commissioner Shea, and where is your vision for the NYPD?
No, I wouldn't keep Commissioner Shea. He wouldn't have lasted this long if I were mayor now. And my vision for the NYPD is really not about the NYPD. It's about communities and how we create safe communities and provide safety for communities. The reality of it is that if any of you were to think about a safe community, what you would think about is not a community that is heavily policed. It is, in fact, a community that is rich with resources and opportunities and programs and services. And so when I talk about defunding the police, what I'm really talking about is providing people with the things that they need in order to be able to live in dignity, because dignity is a critical part of being safe. And we've got to recognize, after the year we've been through, that we can't separate things like safety from health, from housing even. And those things are linked, and we need to provide them for people in order to help people be safe.
Dianne, your answer about Commissioner Shea begs the question, because you said he wouldn't have lasted this long if you were in office. Why is that? And why wouldn't you keep Commissioner Shea?
I mean, I think we saw very, very clearly in video evidence multiple times over the course of the last year where the civil rights of people, of peaceful protesters were violated time and time again by the NYPD. And I watched my children actually be pepper sprayed and then my son be physically assaulted by the police with no repercussions, no consequences, no efforts to really curb the ongoing sort of overreach and violence imposed upon protesters. Yeah. So, I think that leadership needs to be held accountable.
We are pretty much out of time here, but I do have to get this one last question about the pandemic, right? Because a lot of people are leaving New York City. If you can, in a brief answer here, describe what your vision is to kind of bring the life back to New York City.
Sure. I mean, my first vision is to actually protect the lives of New Yorkers, enable people to stay home as much as possible. You just reported on, increasing rates in New York, in New Jersey. That's inevitably going to leak over the border to New York. We need to pay people to stay home while we control the virus. And then we need to rebuild our economy. And I would do that by focusing first on small and mid-sized businesses because those folks are local and invest locally. And we need to create a local economy from the ground up and out. And that's where I would prioritize.
All right, Dianne Morales, we've appreciated your time with us today. Thanks so much for coming on, and hopefully we'll get to speak with you many more times.
Your Abuela Rose,
thank you.
Your Abuela Rose and my Grandma Rose, who is on 43rd and 9th. You guys, they should hang out. I feel like they'd be good friends.
Yeah. Thank you both so much. What a pleasure.
Care.
Have a great day. Take care.
All right.